So I'm working on this set of CB eliminator heads today, trying to get them finished. I got to send these out to Tom's Wonderful World. He's going to cut the combustion chambers for me for compression. And I'm just about done. I got this head finished. I got the intake manifold over here. I'm going to match it real quick to the cylinder heads. They have to be drilled for the dowel on the intake manifold. These are dowel pinned, so the manifold doesn't move around. So I will do that next. I valve jobbed this one yesterday, finished this up. Hans made a video of that, and I got to finish polishing these combustion chambers. I relieve the intake valve with a stone, and they're pretty much ready to go. Just got to do a polish on the chamber to match it to that, and I'm getting ready to paint this balancer one more time. Notice this, everybody says I don't do paint videos, so just kidding. But anyway, what's going on? Not a whole lot. Trying to get some of this little stuff done. You know, I had this balancer. It's fairly new. I've used it on one motor, but it rusted really bad through the whatever coating they had on there. And then I had to have it balanced to the 2110, because when I put it in the 1600, it took all the bearings out of the motor. I don't know if it was just not happy with the weight on the end of the crank, or if the pulley was way out of balance. But the motor made it to South Carolina and back, and took a shit. And all the bearings were terrible in it. And this is the only thing that I did out of the norm. Let's put that pulley on there. But I just bolted it on and didn't balance it to the assembly. And the guy that balanced the pulley said that it was way out. So hopefully it'll be good now. I won't destroy this motor. I would like to go buy a Berg pulley like I have on my car back here, but I don't even know if you can get them anymore. You might be able to online. Take a look. But I need to do something with this. I'll pull this out. This needs to get freshened up. I need to get some paint on this car and put it back in one piece. Looks really sad back here right now. But this is a 2275, and this car weighs about 1,470 pounds without me in it. I'm about 190 pounds, and it's been 580s in the 8th. It's more consistent 6.0 car, but it has been 5s. It's basically a chassis car with a pan in it, because in the old days you used to have the floor pan have to remain in the car to run in the ASX class, and they've tailored it more and more towards you know, pro stock or chassis cars now. But anyway, that's what's going on with this. I'm going to pull the motor out and freshen it up. It's I think it's a universal case. It's got 94s on it. It's a set of Superflow or ARPM heads. Actually, they're not Superflows, they're super old, that I ported. And it's got a scat crank and a Claysmith cam that I got from Paradise, and a few other little goodies in there. And I've got about, I don't know, there's about 7 or 8 passes on it. I'm going to pull it apart and look at it and see what it looks like. I put it in the car and we've raced it a couple times now, and probably about 4 times. So I'm going to pull the motor out, freshen it up, look at the ring packs, look at the cylinder heads, check the valve springs. I'm sure they're going to be dead from sitting in here with the rockers on them. Usually if you got a badass spring, a good idea is to get the motor warm and pull the rockers off while the car's still hot, and it'll give you a free valve job. The hot valve will actually, you know, straighten the seat out, and it pulls everything back in line with the valve guide. So that's an old racer trick. You after you get done racing your car, pop the valve covers off, take the rocker arms off, and it makes your valve springs live twice as long, because you don't have one compressed all the time, or 2. And that weakens the spring, obviously, when it's stored in the compressed state. So it's a good idea to pull the rockers off. Skidder taught that to me, and we used to do that religiously when we race. We'd put it on the trailer and pull the rockers off, and while the car was super hot. And when we put the rockers back on, we'd do a leak check every time before we raced the car, and we always had really good luck with our leak downs and keeping the cylinder heads in shape that way. So We don't do any of that on the Pro Mod. It's just hanging open somewhere with 650 lift with the valve smashed right now. So that's next weekend. Going to Georgia, Reynolds, Georgia. There's my cat. He's gonna die, man. He ain't doing good. He's my oldest cat, and that's Runt. He got attacked by a bear when he was small. Broke both his back legs, and he had a rough recovery. But he's been a really good buddy, and we call him Runt because his legs are so short. But he's about 7 years old. Outside cats usually live to about 8, and he's a scrapper. You can see all the scars on him. But he's been hanging out tight in the garage, and been wanting a lot of attention. And he's tired. It's his time. So we got that going on. You got to pick up one of these timing rings. This thing, I don't want to take a chance of gluing this back on. See, it had a little rust starting underneath it there with the glue, unless that's the glue. But I'm going to pick one of those up from Triangle and get a new one of those. And I scribed the pulley with a file to find top dead center before I pulled that off. You know, you always want to mark the pulley before you take the tape off so you can put the new tape back on in the right spot. So. But that's what's happening here today, not a whole lot. I made some phone calls yesterday and talked to some people, and you know, some people were unhappy with the video that I made, and I never made the video out of spite. You know, anytime I make a video, I'm trying to educate you guys and give you the best possible chance of not having failures in your motor, and I'm pretty much always gonna commit to you to do that here on this channel. I will not use shitty parts and try to make them work. I just won't do it, and that's not what I'm going to teach you guys how to do. I don't even want to introduce you to that kind of stuff. And if there's other guys on the internet that want to build that, that's great. That's great for them. But I'm not going to be a part of that, and that's not what this channel is about. And I think that if you look at the comments on the video, they're all constructive. You know, it's a handful of people that have bought those parts and been totally disappointed with them. And there's a few old school guys in there that you know about building a quality motor, and some of them are you know, guys in their 60s that still have their shit from when they were in their 20s. So there's a lot to say about a quality part, and that's all I can say. I try to keep it as friendly as possible. Sometimes I get passionate about something, and my big passion lately is junk, because you guys build 1 or 2 motors a year maybe, you know, and you run into it once, and I run into it constantly every day, day after day, week after week. You know, I get phone calls from people, hey, I did this, this failed, this failed, this failed. And you get tired of hearing about stuff failing, and you know, it's getting to the point where there's not much you can buy that doesn't fail, you know, unless you go to the aftermarket and get, you know, like an aftermarket crank and, you know, stuff like that, because these companies are just flooding the market with a bunch of crap. I know that I've showed you the cast cranks that are coming on the market now. You know, I don't understand why you'd want to reverse engineer something and make it shittier. You know, you start out with a forged crank and forged rods, and you have a really solid motor that everybody loves, and then Brazil started to manufacture those cast cranks and cast rods, and a lot of the parts houses are selling that shit, and those rods are garbage. I showed you a motor that came in with that stuff, and the motor was total junk from the carburetor to the drain plug. You know, it was an aftermarket engine case, and it's just it's the shit that they're doing to us nowadays in this industry, and it really sucks. And I have examples of it all over my shop, and I know other people that don't get aggravated or think that I'm excessive. They just don't deal with this enough to have these kind of problems. But here's a brand new set of heads. This is, I mean, brand new. And these are Mafuckos. Excuse my language. I don't want to use the actual company's name, but Mafuckos heads here. And I did some port work to these. You know, I did about 10 hours, 15 hours of port work. And I was going to build these for Greg Porter. I was going to put these on his motor. I'm going to build for him, or we're talking about building. And the head resembles a good head. You know, it has a solid solid deck here, and you know they've copied the CB head pretty well, but the material they used is total shit. And I did all the port work, and then you can see the valve job is done. And when I pulled the valve guide pilots out for the cutters, it pulled the guides out of the head. Every one of them. All of them are loose. There you go. Brand new shit. Brand new. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, I don't know, I originally was going to just take these and put some guides in them. So I went down the scooters and I said, hey man, you know, you got any guides? Tons of them. What do you need? So we get to talking, and he goes, you know, you need to drill the hole, make it straight, you know, and, you know, it's always how to do it right with scooter. There's never, you know, how to rig it or just throw a guide in there and cut the seat to the guide. So he goes, what heads are you working with? And you know, showed him these, and he's like, just put them back in the car, dude, don't even bother. He's like, if you put a guide in there, they're going to fail. And the last thing I want to do is have failure. So here they sit, man, set of brand new heads that nobody can use that are poorly, you know, fully ported. And they won't hold a guide because whatever material they used as far as aluminum or whatever, it doesn't accept any kind of a crush. And if you get the guides tight enough to live in the hole, it breaks the boss. So it's a catch-21. You can see they've cut these bosses down quite a bit. They redesigned them a little bit from Volkswagen. They're completely different than what an OEM head would look like. These are the 040s. 040s, total garbage, and you know they'll probably sit under the bench and be door stops for the rest of their lives now. And I can't really think of anything to do with them. You know, I don't want to try to put them on somebody's motor because, like I said, usually when I build a motor, it's never a customer. You know, they come in as customers and they leave as friends, and I don't like to fuck my friends or, you know, give them shit that's going to fail. And that's just why I get so passionate about it and so pissed off when people, you know, push the shitty parts. And it's nothing personal against anybody. It's just it's how I was raised, and you know, that's all I can tell you. And I know that some of you are unhappy with Gene Berg and the Blue Book, but we have 4 world records with an 1800cc motor, 82 by 88, you know, 1090 11 flat, and those little motors work really good if you know what to do with them. But the problem is nobody wants to spend money on cylinder head, and cylinder head is what makes the motor go fast, not displacement. Displacement it's good. It'll give you more torque. If you have a shitty head, you know, it'll make more power to 4,000 RPMs, but you got to have a good cylinder head to make power. And if you don't port the head and you don't get excessive with what you do to the head, it's not going to make any power. And you can't make power with a stock valve. You can make smoothness. You can have a nice ride. It can be linear, but it's not going to be fast, ever. Never, never, ever. You got to have intake valve. I don't care what kind of motor you're working with. You have to add valve area to get flow, and without flow there's no go. So I just don't want anybody to mistake my passion for anger. I'm not angry at anybody, and I'm not trying to wish ill luck on anybody, and I'm just trying to show you how I do it and what works for me. And you know, I don't know, as far as I know, now, I'm the only guy on YouTube that I know that makes videos. There's a couple of guys in California that has a 5-second Volkswagen that can go to the track and back his bullshit up with the scoreboard. And I've done that with you guys several times. You know, you've seen that thing go 10 flat over and over and over on YouTube. There's plenty of videos of it. So, you know, when I talk, it's from experience. It's not from, you know, bullshit or reading it out of a catalog. More than likely, I've done it 4 or 5 times already, maybe even 100. And when you work somewhere for the amount of time that I did, and you only work on one type of car, you pick up a little bit of experience. It just has to happen. You know, that's all I worked on for 20 years was Volkswagens, and one after another. And it was when Volkswagens were popular to drive. They weren't show cars. You know, people were driving them. We were putting ball joints in, doing brake jobs, putting carburetors on, putting exhaust on. Now you build a car for somebody, and it's into the trailer, out at the show. And I'm not interested in that, you know. I like to build you a motor where you can get out and drive your car if you want to drive it across country or get up on I-4 where I live. You know, you have to at least do 80. I know, you know, I have a stock Volkswagen out there with a 40 horse, and it'll run 60, 65, 70, but it's got its tongue out, and 70 is about all it's got, and 70 just ain't fast enough on the interstate anymore, you know? I mean, you got to be able to go 85, 80 all the time, or you get run over. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I thought about taking the video down. Somebody asked me to take the video down, and I didn't think it would be fair to the people that commented on the video with all their concerns. And some of those guys that took the time to answer your comments. And what some people don't understand is you guys have the luxury of spelling. And I have the luxury of having Volkswagen knowledge, but I never learned how to spell. I can read text fine, but when it comes to putting it on paper, I am crippled, you know? There's a comedian that said, hey man, if we had your mother and we were gonna kill her and we would let her go, if you spell school, you know, he's like, Mama, I love you, it's been nice knowing you. That's me, because I wouldn't be able to spell it. If it wouldn't be for the smartphone and people on YouTube that have helped me with voice software, I wouldn't be able to answer your guys' questions. And every time I answer a question, when you get an answer from me on an email or a comment, I actually have to talk into the phone, put what I want to say on my smartphone, and then retype it onto the computer. Somebody tried to get me some software where I could do that on the computer, but you know, I wasn't proficient enough to complete the paragraphs that they wanted you to repeat so they could recognize your voice. It's a real challenge for me, and I've never hid that from you guys. I'm completely dyslexic, and it's been a curse in you know, all my life. It's always raises its head at certain points in your career, you know. I know when I was at Toyota, they tried to move me into management, and it's not something I'm comfortable with because I can't spell, I can't do reports, you know. There's some guys that have people that work for them that lay all that out for them, and they just need what's in their head. And I got plenty of shit in my head. It's just putting it on paper that's hard for me. So if I answer your comment, it's painstaking. And for me to answer all those people and have all those people interact on my channel, to take a video down makes no sense to me. And I don't think that there's any negative answers on that video. It's just people expressing their frustration with this bullshit that's flooded our market, man. And this never used to be like this with Volkswagens. You know, we used to have quality parts. There was only a few suppliers, and you know, they made an effort to make a quality part, and all they're doing is trying to make it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and eventually, you know, the shit will just look like a part and not work. So if I'm a little passionate about it, I really don't think I need to apologize. I think there's people out there that want the passion. I know there's at least 2 or 3 guys that are very interested in building a bulletproof motor and learning how to do this, and they want to hear the mistakes. They want to hear the trials and the tribulations and the shit that I've been through, so they don't have to go through that. And they can make the investment and the wise choice that they want to make, because there's some guys that will save for 3 years to buy the correct parts, and there's some guys that won't save. They'll just go buy the cheapest thing they can get, and they'll put something together, and you know, people tell them it'll be okay, but it's not going to be okay for the 3 or 4 guys that are watching my channel that want perfection. They don't want okay. And I want to give you better than okay here. That's what I want to do. I don't want to do okay, okay? When I try to work on somebody's car, or I do something for somebody, it's the best that I can possibly do. It's 100% guaranteed. If you have any issues, you call me, you bring it back, and there's no bullshit. That hardly ever happens. I never have comebacks. You guys see it. Most customers leave here very happy, and I try to fix everything when they come the first time so they're not coming back week after week after week after week. And that's just how I was taught. You know, you look something over, and you sort of use your knowledge to know what's going to go bad, what you need to replace, and what needs to be addressed. And that's all I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to insult anybody or, you know, anything like that. But if a company makes a shitty part, I'll have no problem telling you that, hey man, this just won't work and it's not worth your investment. You know, it's just not worth your money to buy this. And if something works, I'll be, you know, trying to sell it because I'm passionate about it and I know it works. So I hope that, you know, we can work this out and, you know, people won't get too upset. And if you do get upset, it's, you know, I apologize, and the apology was heartfelt. And if you don't understand why I can't take the video down, then I apologize. But YouTube is my job, and this is the only job I have. It's all I have left. You guys have given me the ability to have a little bit of dignity. Once a month, I get in the mailbox and get a little check. And you know, I know YouTube's not about the money, but that's where I get my money now. So you guys watching the videos, interacting with the channel, leaving comments, that's what gets me paid, and that's the bottom line. And I'm not going to piss my audience off that put comments on a video that, you know, struck a nerve with a lot of people to make one person happy. So I hope that you understand. I hope that if you don't understand, that's okay too. But I've been doing this for 3 years on YouTube, and I'm going to stay as true and as honest to my subscribers as I possibly can. My subscribers are like family. You know, I have 11,000 subscribers now, a little bit over. I try to watch your guys' videos. You know, a lot of my subscribers aren't in the garage community. I try to do a lot of different things. I try to educate myself on YouTube. I've learned how to spell. I've learned to do a lot of things. It's been very good and very positive for me. A lot of people say YouTube's just, you know, a make-believe internet thing, and nothing on the internet's true. But I found that I've made some of my best friends on YouTube, and I continue to make good friends on YouTube, and it's solid friendships, and I can call people and talk to them, and I have good rapport with people. They like the videos, they like the honesty, and I'd only be cheating them to change the way I do things. And you know, I was talking to Andrea last night. There's already over 50 people that have made reservations for the YouTube party, and you know, that just proves that it's not really easy to get 50 people or 100 people together in one place. And we do that constantly when we have these parties, and it's always a great time, man. Meeting the people that are making videos, getting to talk to them, getting to know your subscribers is it's a cool thing, dude. And I love working with the guys when they come over. There's nothing better than to show them how to do something that they didn't think they could do, and give them the power to do it. And that's what YouTube's about, man. It's about spreading the knowledge that we have and putting it out there. Whether people want to use it or not, that's up to them. But we got to give them the choice, and we got to give them choices. We can't have them just looking at, you know, crap to build. They have to see a little bit of the old school, a little bit of the old quality. And a lot of it's gone forever, you know. I showed you these manifolds over here. You know, I paid almost $300 for these, and they look like they swept the floor and made these with something off the floor. And when I was growing up, you could pay $150 and get a set of Scat Track manifolds, and they were beautiful, man. They'd come polished, and you could see yourself in them, and they had none of this porosity in them. And that shit's gone forever. Nobody's ever going to make one of those again, because we buy these. But that hurts, dude. That hurts me, because I grew up when shit like that wouldn't even been used. It wouldn't even been a consideration back in the old day. People would have looked at that and said, whoa. But it's what we have now, and you know, there's a little bit of a challenge to making all this stuff live with the quality of, you know, parts that we have. You have to be completely sure of what you're doing, and you can't make any mistakes anymore. I have one subscriber that has a cam issue. He can't adjust his valves, and you know, he's had some of the best guys in the Volkswagen world help him out. And you know, I'm going to tell you, buddy, I love Volkswagens, but it's just part of it. You know, it's where we're at in the industry now. Trying not to kill myself here. This is a brand new Berg cam, and it made it about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I guess, in the motor. It wiped out on break-in, and this is something that is hard to explain to somebody that buys quality pieces, and you know, they have failure. And this subscriber of mine, he didn't cut any corners. He's got all quality shit. I mean, there's no bullshit in his motor. But this is an issue. Camshafts are a problem for us. It's the oil. They've taken all the zinc out of the oil. Some people think you can add zinc to the oil, and that just doesn't work. you're going to have to go to a Joe Gibbs type oil, you know, or get an oil from Summit that's made for old cars and flat tappet cams. And you just can't be too careful with what you put in these. I mean, they have to be zinc rich to make a flat tappet cam work. Every other industry that I know of in the performance world has gone to roller cams. And it's very hard for the Volkswagen industry to go to a roller cam. You have to key the lifter journal or lifter bosses have to be keyed. It takes a special type of roller. It's very expensive, and it's not something that's going to come to the mainstream. So this is something that we're going to have to address, this cam issue. And some guys will tell you that this doesn't happen anymore, but I see it far too often. I know that if you you know, choose the wrong oil and you're hard-headed about that, that's going to be one of the issues you face. I can tell you that this cam was broken with 2050 Castrol, which I can't stand, which you know, one of my best friends tells me that it has the highest zinc level of any oil, and I'm like, that's bullshit. And he adds the Lucas zinc additive. I used to have it, but I don't use it anymore because it doesn't work. So this is this stuff here is Aero Shell. It's for airplane engines, and it has a large amount of zincs because it's not going through any catalytic converters. And this is for piston motors, you know. This is a little heavy for some of the guys during the colder climates. It's a 50 weight, straight 50. It says W100, but it is a 50 weight. And I know AMSOIL, they have some oils now, and you know, I don't really care for synthetics, but if they're putting the additives, they have the hot rod with the zinc added, and that might be a good good thing to try if you're having cam failure. And you could be doing all the right things, my friend, and have cam failure. So it's nothing that you did. It's a manufacturing issue, and it doesn't matter if Gene Berg himself built your motor. It's something that can happen to anybody. And this is one of the hardest things there is to explain to somebody that comes in and spends $10,000 to build a Volkswagen motor and their cam wipes out. I mean, they lose their confidence in their engine builder, and it's not an engine builder process. It's the materials, it's the oil, it's the lifter making contact with the cam. And you know, a lot of people don't realize that there's never metal-to-metal contact in a motor. Even though the lifter rides on the cam, there should be a film of oil between these two surfaces. And you only get damage when that film of oil depletes between the two surfaces. And I had a friend that just recently lost a motor, and he's hard-headed. He's not going to listen. But he turns at 9,600 RPMs. It's a badass, you know, crawler rod, Okrasa crank motor. And he had oil failure. And he's wanting to give it more oil pressure. You need 10 pounds of oil pressure for every 1,000 RPMs. So, you know, 9,800 RPM, you're going to need 98 pounds of oil pressure in the traps, which is hard to maintain, but it can be done. And if you put a quality oil there, it has a pressure additive. When you have heavy cylinder pressure with 16-to-1 compression, loading the rod bearing, it squeezes the oil out at high RPM, and the bearing becomes dry and makes metal contact with the crank. And he had two failures. He had the pump make contact and dig into itself and burn the pump up, and then he had a couple bearings, you know, not look good. They look like trash went through them, but it's oil, and it's you know, we don't want to spend money on oil, man. We're old school, and oil used to be $1.50, and now we're paying $9 a quart, and it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, but it's very important. I hope you don't get too discouraged with your valve adjustment problem. I hope some of those ideas I gave you maybe gave you some direction. And I could see the disgust on your face when you made the short video, but don't take it personal, my friend. A lot of people have lost cams, and it's just part of it, man. It's part of the quality chain that we keep talking about. You know, they can make these better. We use the $800 lifters, and we used to use them in the race cars. We still do in some of the aspirated car, the Baker tool steel type stuff. They seem to be very good, but you know, a set of lifters is $49. There's not too many cats out there that'll spring, you know, $500 for a set of tool steel lifters. They're out there, and you know, I'm racing with those guys. That's the kind of shit you got to have when you want to go fast. But for the street, it didn't used to be necessary, but it's becoming more necessary because of the quality of the parts that we're getting. So You know, I'm sorry you're having bad luck, and I hope that you stay with the sport and you fix it. And I hope maybe these videos help you, or maybe you can service it yourself. You know, that's where it becomes affordable. It's just something that has to be done. So we need to get back on this. I'm having some trees cut down today because I get leaves in the building every day, and I'm over it. And I'm hanging out with Runt because I'm going to miss that cat. He hangs out with me quite a bit. I hate to see him down like that, but I guess this is part of the life cycle. Anyway, that's what's going on here today, and I hope I made myself clear. I'm perfectly aware that, you know, I have friends on YouTube that comment on other people's channel that don't comment on mine anymore. And they might think that some of my comments are harsh, and some of the stuff that they've tried to do in the past. I don't usually pull punches. You know, if you're shooting yourself in the foot, I'm going to let you know that the gun's loaded, you know what I mean? And if you're truly my friend, and you've known me long enough, like some of you have, that I see commenting on other people's channel that don't comment on mine anymore, I've never bullshitted any of you guys, and you guys know me better than anybody. These guys on the internet have only seen what they've seen, but some of you guys have grown up with me out there, and you know I'm not a bullshitter. So I just, you know, I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm trying to give you the best possible luck. And I think in the town that I grew up in, personally, you know, I work for the guy that's got every world record on his wall. You can't go to any other Volkswagen shops that have those. You have to go down and see like Fisher Buggy, or go out to California and, you know, catch those other guys. But there's not too many record holders that live in Florida, and not too many record holders from back in the 70s when you used to have to make all the shit by hand and really know your craft. Now, you know, they've made horsepowers for the masses. We have our issues, but I think horsepower as a whole is easier to make today than it used to be 30 years ago, for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut up. This is a long ass video, and I hope I covered everything, and I hope you guys take the time to watch it. I want to thank everybody for subscribing to the channel. I want to thank everybody for bringing it up to 11,000 subscribers. We need to do some sort of a giveaway. I need to think of something creative, and I'm working on that. And I appreciate you guys subscribing because it helps me, it helps my family, and like I said, it gives me a little bit of dignity once a month when I walk to the mailbox. So thank you.